Good morning, it's Lisa Jayne here. This morning I wanted to talk about emotional safety. It's been coming up for me again and again and again how important emotional safety is for us anywhere in our lives at any time, but especially if we've been through toxic relationships or we're coming out of a relationship breakdown. We've had some form of trauma in our life. And I wanted to talk about emotional safety because it's something that really we're not educated around, and perhaps what you think it might be could be different to what it actually is. And you also might be surprised at what it does for you if you can actually start to build your own sense of emotional safety. So, emotional safety for me is about being able to sit in my true self and in my power, my inner power, my personal power, and be able to honor that and to be able to stand by that and to keep myself emotionally safe. That means I make conscious choices about who I want to hang out with. I'm also aware when I'm in a situation that doesn't serve me, because I never used to be aware of these situations. I used to do a lot of stuff out of obligation or this unconscious need to get my emotional needs met. So I was doing all this stuff, reaching outside to people, to toxic partners. And that sounds really bad, doesn't it? Even if they weren't that toxic, because I was reaching out to them to meet my emotional needs, it became toxic. That's what creates toxicity. One of the things is when I was reaching out, trying to get my emotional needs met from something outside of myself, all of a sudden that created all that stuff, the insecurity, the self-doubt, the second guessing, the I'm not good enough, the I'm not worthy, the I can't quite get this relationship to work. All of that was created because I didn't know how to meet my own emotional needs and I didn't know how to keep myself emotionally safe. So emotional safety is tantamount to me now feeling empowered in my life, to me not putting myself in a position to be hurt, for me honoring my inner wisdom so that I know exactly what to do for me and when I need to do it. So how can you start to build a sense of emotional safety? Because it is just so critical to an empowered life and to feeling free. Because I know that I can meet my emotional needs, because I know that I know the words that I can use to get them met, because it is a skill. I have to teach people that I work with to actually use words that will get them what they want in a way that doesn't create division or conflict, but in a way that actually creates integration and harmony. Because we're not taught that. That's not in our school curriculum, unfortunately. How cool would it be if it was? So when I know how to meet my emotional needs, when I can keep myself emotionally safe, I'm there for me all the time. If I'm in a situation and I acknowledge that, oh, I've got a feeling around this, I'm not feeling comfortable here, I have the courage to do something about it. And that's something that I didn't used to do before. I used to put up with situations, or I used to discount them and go, oh no, it'll be all right. It'll work out. And so all these events that I was creating or being involved with, that continually chipped away at my self-esteem because I was always giving away my power to these situations where I really didn't feel safe. I wasn't there for me. And that actually means if you're not there for you, that you can't trust yourself. And then that starts the second guessing, that starts the I'm not good enough. Like, it is so entwined. So coming back to emotional safety, because this is an emotional world thing. This is actually not something we can learn a little bit about it in our heads. And a lot of the times we do our emotions with our heads, with our thinking. I'm really encouraging you to start doing your emotions with your emotional world. Step into your emotional world. So the feeling of feeling empowered to care for yourself emotionally and to keep yourself emotionally safe brings you closer to your truth and brings you closer to your true self. And ultimately, that's what we want. That is your purpose. That is your incredible purpose, is stepping into your true self and feeling the power of that in your body. And emotional safety is just this incredible doorway you can walk into to start feeling that right now. So my hot tip for emotional safety today, pay attention to your feelings. What is it you're feeling? And it requires honesty and it requires courage. Now, courage comes from an open heart, because we have a lot of courage when we start to use our heart power. If we're thinking about things all the time, the mind will create fear and separation and judgment, and it doesn't create courage. It creates the opposite of courage. So being aware of what you're feeling, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good for me to be here. I'm hanging out with this. I've got to acknowledge that this is not feeling comfortable for me. You don't have to do anything. Don't put any pressure on yourself to take any action just now. But just acknowledge the feeling, validate the feeling, breathe into it in your heart, and just start to have a look at what is it that's actually that you're doing that's stepping you away from your truth, that's stepping you away from feeling safe. Is it an action that you're taking? Are you sacrificing your values to get a need met? Are you in a relationship that just doesn't feel good? Like, what is it that doesn't feel good? Like, really listen to your feelings, because your emotional world is incredibly powerful. When we start to pay attention, it actually leads us. It will guide us where to go to next. We just have to start paying attention. Don't run away from those feelings. Remind yourself you don't have to act on them. You might not be ready to act on them for another year or another 5 years. Who knows what your journey is. But right now, just start to increase your awareness around what's going on inside your body. And start to build a sense of, I'm my own best friend. Like, when I stand by my own side, when I make choices that really honor me, I build my self-esteem every single time. I build my sense of self-assurance. And that gives me a hell of a lot of freedom in my life. So pay attention to your feelings. Acknowledge them. Well, why wouldn't I be feeling this, right? You can actually have a little bit of an internal dialogue with them. Allow them to be there and know that they're actually showing you where you've walked away from your truth. They're showing you where you've walked away from emotional safety. So pay attention and listen. And there might be something little that you can do right now to make yourself feel better and come back to your truth. So there's always 2 things to do. One is have a look at where you've walked away from your truth and what feels safe for you. And then have a look at what you can do right now to bring back a feeling of emotional safety in your life, to bring back a feeling of, that feels really good for me. This is me sitting with me. This is me being so true to myself in this moment. That is so powerful. So I hope you have a beautiful day. I'm sending you lots and lots of love for blissful magic today.